Self-leadership is basically the ability you can be every day your best self, and coaching, mentoring, breathing are all ways which can contribute to that. Great to see all of you. I would highly appreciate if you can put on your camera so that we can see each other and not talk to black screens. I'm I'm joining you here from Barcelona, and we have an interesting topic today, actually. So I'm really curious, and let's perhaps do initially just a short round of intro. If you could say your name, where you're calling from, and if you could also share what is the main question you have with regard to self-leadership? So who would like to start? Emma, would you like to go?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. I'm calling from Sarpsborg in Norway, which is a town approximately 1 hour from Oslo. And what was the second thing I was to say?
What are you curious about on the topic, or what is one question you have in mind?
I'm writing a project on coaching and self-leadership, actually. So I just want some inspiration for my project.
So you're writing a thesis, yeah?
Yeah. Or no, it's not my bachelor thesis, but it's more like only a project in one of the classes that I have, coaching.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what's the question behind this coaching and self-leadership? Is there anything specially you should explore, or?
I'm trying to develop a more positive mindset, and also trying to structure my daily life better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Among other things. Yeah.
Great, Emma. Look, that's a fascinating topic, as you might know, or probably you don't know. I'm also an executive coach, so the AIESECers have my contacts. If you feel like, you can reach out to me also afterwards. If you think this could be useful, just don't hesitate. Okay. We live in a connected world, so make use of it.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's very nice.
Great. Stephanie, what about you?
Sorry, I just joined.
Sorry. Yes, Stephanie. Sorry, I didn't notice. So welcome, Stephanie. I'm Hannes. And my question, we're just doing a short, informal, easy intro round. Where are you calling from? And what is it that attracts you to the topic, or what question do you have in mind, or what is your background? This was the question.
My background, I'm a student currently in Norway, Trondheim. I was interested in this session today because I feel like an aspect of self-leadership is self-discipline. So that's important. It's not a very easy skill to master, so I hope I can.
Could you briefly repeat an aspect of self? I could not hear you. I'm sorry about this.
Oh, I'm saying that so self-discipline, I think, is discipline, and it's not an easy skill to master. So I hope I can plan a
Okay, I'm really sorry. I could hardly hear you. If you can write it in the chat, I would appreciate it, Stephanie. Then
Okay.
this would help me. Thanks so much. Sorry about this, but great to have you with us. And whom else? Franol. Franol, do we have you here?
Hi,
Hey,
can you hear me?
Great. Yes.
Yes, so I'm calling from Stavanger, and I'm studying business administration with focus on project management.
Okay.
And for a question, I was wondering in what way does self-leadership or self-management connect to management of others, and how are those connected, and what's the differences between those?
Self-management connected to managing others, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Great to have you here. You also have these provocative headphones. we both look like DJs.
Yeah,
that always gives me a head start. So people think, oh, okay, at least we'll get cool music if he talks rubbish. Great to have you, Franol, also, and Stephanie and Emma. Look, Thea, Usema, Emina, you just introduce yourself also. And Thea, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can start. So I'm studying international management here in Trondheim at BI, and I'm originally from Oslo. And I think this topic is very interesting because it's something we don't learn that much about. And I think it's really useful on an everyday basis, and especially like when you're studying.
Okay, great, Thea. Great. Emina?
So hi, I'm currently in Oslo and I'm studying international law in my final year of master's. Why I like this topic and why I'm here today, besides the obvious, is that I want to see how it correlates with every aspect of our lives and what the durability of self-leadership on inconsistency, how it can affect us on long term.
Great. And Usema?
Hello, everyone. I'm Osema. I'm currently based in Tunisia, but I'm part of AIESEC in Norway. And why I'm interested in this topic is mainly because I want to learn more on how I can manage my both feelings, thoughts, and actions in a way that can actually achieve or reach whatever objective I'm trying to I'm working on.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Yeah, great to have all of you. And look, from the beginning, what I told to Emma, same goes out for you. If there's anything you would like to follow up or question, or you would like to connect later, don't hesitate. I'm writing here my email in the chat. You can really easily reach out. I will also explain you why. First, this is my personality. I very much believe that the world is one family. And secondly, I have been lucky all my life to be connected to people who supported me, who helped me, who gave me insights. So the least I should be doing is doing the same. And thirdly, this is an AIESEC organized conference or workshop. And AIESEC has been a game changer in my life. And I mean, if there's nothing you take out of this workshop, take one thing out from me. Don't hesitate ever to join AIESEC. Because this is truly life-changing. And when we talk about self-leadership, if you are looking for a laboratory where you can display this at low personal and emotional costs and low real costs, then this is AIESEC. It's a laboratory of trying yourself out better than no other. So, and that would be actually my intro. And when we talk about self-leadership, perhaps the easiest answer or the easiest definition is self-leadership is actually to know about a little bit about who you are, influencing your thinking and feeling and actions towards something you want, basically becoming a better version of yourself. And someone of you said rightly, unfortunately, this has never been taught. We somehow have to figure this major secret, what is life and who am I, out somehow ourselves. We learn a lot about external things, how the world functions, physics, gravity, this, that, which is a bit absurd because what we never can escape from and what we always have to somehow deal with is this, right? So probably this is the most important challenge of life in general, self-leadership. And that's why I'm happy you are here. I want to share some thoughts and actually some insights and models, which you can, we will do 1 or 2 activities also, but which you can at your heart's desire work on, reflect on later, whenever you want. But to basically provide you with a bit of knowledge on what's going on in this area, and then we can discuss this. Now, if we would, as an intro, perhaps, if we would look at the dimensions of feeling, our emotions, thinking, our thoughts, and doing our activities, then each one, please write in the chat, in this order: feeling, thinking, doing. What is, if the overall time during the day you spend is 100, how is the time separated between this 100? How much time during the day you spend on consciously feeling, consciously thinking, consciously doing? And when I say feeling, of course you feel all the time, but are you aware and reflecting about the feeling? Like when you do a mindfulness practice, when you do yoga or anything, that would count for the time you spend on feeling. So how much time you spend consciously on each of those 3 areas, just write it in the chat. And it cannot be more than 100. Mm-hmm. Okay, great, very interesting. So I would challenge anyone who has more than 10% on feeling. We will realize in a minute why. Because feeling something and being aware about feeling something and managing this feeling proactively is 2 stories. But let's look into, let me go through a few aspects here. Okay, so the first insight I just want to share, very perhaps simple and perhaps too simple, to live a life and live it at the best of performance, at the highest of happiness, at the best of health, is an art, it's a skill. It not just so happens. It is like learning soccer, like learning skateboarding, like learning guitar. So that's very important to know. So it's a skill set. At the same time, we should also know that life is absolutely fragile. So we should understand a little bit the nature of life. When I say fragile means, it's not in our hand how long our life lasts. It's not even in our hand that we came on this earth. And for sure, nobody knows how long it can be. Life might be over any minute, and it could be another 100 years. So it's absolutely fragile, isn't it? I don't think anybody would disagree. That is a fact of life. And to be a bit like direct, we could stop this workshop if you would really live according to this principle. Because this statement contains it all. If you understand how fragile life is and that the nature of life is that it's fragile, and based on this understanding, start living a life, a lot of challenges and perceived problems will disappear straight away. But that is important to understand. You know, whenever I talk to also students, but like to CEOs, and there is a certain sense of entitlement we have about life. We live as if when we were born, someone, either God or whoever, or nature, whispered into our ear, Hannes, I promise you, life will only be great, and you will live 90 years. And none of your friends and relatives will ever get sick, will ever die before you want them, and all will be fine. At least nobody whispered this into my ears. Perhaps someone did into yours, then tell me. Yet we live life based with this thought. We expect all the time things to happen according to, as if someone would owe us. If a dear friend or relative passes away, we are full of grief. It's okay to grieve. But at the same time, we should know that death is as much part of life as anything else. We know it. Why is it so difficult for us just to accept it? That this is the nature of life. People come, people go. One comes, one goes. Yet we struggle so much with it. And every death we behave as it's like, oh my God, what happened? Again, I'm not downplaying this. Grief is very human. It's good. And it's important. But this entitlement idea that somebody owes me something is a very, like my example of God whispering into my ear, is a very problematic topic because, and unfortunately, you know, part of our education, we are brought up like this. Dear son, dear daughter, it's either said or not said. Go to school, do what teachers tell you, work hard, and go to university, do what is told, get a good degree, because then you'll have a good job. When you have a good job, you earn money, you'll find a good wife or husband, you'll have kids, you'll be happy. There is an underlying misunderstanding of life here and an underlying entitlement there. So you grow up, you study, you don't find a job, you wonder, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? Because someone told you you'll find a job, but this is not true. This is not what life is. Just as an initial, perhaps it's provocative, perhaps not, but thought. And if we look at it a bit larger, I mean, you all had a case why self-leadership is important. If you look at just 2-3 year outlook, World Economic Forum, what are the skills which analysts tell us which are growing at a job place and which are declining? You will see that a lot of the aspects on the left are related to self-leadership. The ability to know about myself and others, the ability to navigate, to be emotionally intelligent, to be able to solve problems, complex problems, which means I am clear with me, that's why I can solve something externally. If you are dealing with something in your head, you had a fight with your girlfriend, boyfriend, father, mother, friend, you had bad news from someone, you know what I mean. It's very difficult then to solve a complex problem. So what we are talking about here, self-leadership, it's not just something for you as a person. It is absolutely essential for anything you want to achieve in a workplace. And you know, the more creative and the more value creating our jobs become, which is more and more happening, you know, repetitive jobs are disappearing step by step. The lesser you can hide away during job. You understand what I mean? If you're doing repetitive things, you know, your mind can wander around and whatever you have to do, you do. I've still seen this in my life, you know, an accountant job, an underwriter job, copying this to that. All of this is slowly disappearing. So this is more and more increasing, that you have to bring your good, your relaxed, your balanced self into whatever you do in order to make any headway anywhere. Now, if you look at self-leadership, and that's like one of the aspects we looked at, and I think who was it? One of you mentioned how is it related to leading others and managing others. Well, you know, when I had my first leadership position, I tell you honestly, I thought, okay, now I have responsibility for people, so I need to make sure what is going on, what do I do, how can it be good, and how can I be useful to them, and how can I do this and that. I completely misunderstood that leadership is at least 50% leading yourself. And that is the essence also of this picture. The core of everything is leading self. Why? And we will deepen this. Because the picture I have in mind on me, whether I'm a failure or I'm a success, whether I'm good, whether I'm bad, whether I'm performing, whether I'm not performing, whether, like Stephanie, as you said, whether I'm disciplined or not, whether I'm in like okay with myself or not, immediately blends out how I deal with others. There's no other way. If you try to be someone with others different to who you are to yourself, this creates unease. Another name for it is dis-ease. And this is what we call disease. And this is illness. If you try to live separately, the second circle from the first, not even to speak about the others, you're up for trouble because you're basically living against your own nature. So, and you will see this in the activities, in the topics that we will go through, how much knowing about yourself and being aware relates to, and being endlessly curious about this immediately affects how you deal with others. And by the way, one of the secrets, Emma, on why coaching is so powerful. Because what you do in coaching is you basically just serve as an enabler, as a mirror to somebody else, and asking curious, open-ended questions, summarizing what you hear, giving it back. Basically, you become an extended self-dialogue. And a good coach you would feel is bringing you somewhere. The truth is, the coach is doing hardly anything. It's you who are doing it. The coach is just mirroring it back. So, and that's why, by the way, also Emma, for you, the coaching style of leadership is the one leadership style of the future. And it's also based on some surveys, some research. It's not just I'm saying, this is not our topic, but it's exactly that, because you open up a person. You help this person to bring his or her best self to the workplace. And if we look at the workplace, look, it's always 3 dimensions. Are you able to manage a team? Which was mentioned before. Here, let me see. Franol, I think you mentioned this, right? The aspect of working with others. How well are you as a team in managing a team? You have basic management skills. Are you good in managing? Are you able to be a good time manager, manage meetings, and so on? And are you able to manage yourself? It's just those 3 things. The secret is, perhaps it's not a secret. Success and failure, 80% is the lower right side. You will hardly fail because you don't have certain skills, because you can learn them. You might fail because of team, but the core of if you fail with a team is because you are not at peace with yourself. It's really ironic knowing this and then looking at how corporates develop people, as they also spend too little time and effort on this personal side. So let's start with one aspect of self-leadership. And I asked you this question on thinking, feeling, and doing. And we have at least in Western culture, and this actually influenced heavily also the leadership literature, psychological literature, this saying by the famous French philosopher, I think, therefore I am. Je pense, donc je suis. And this has influenced actually the way we look at life and people the last 250 years. If we look at this triangle, then the challenge we face is that everything starts with the upper right side, with feeling. The signals which are sent from the aspect in our brain and which it receives per day on this, let's say, feeling channel is a couple of billions. It's huge. So whatever your feeling is, senses, touching, smelling, how your emotions are, you feel happy, you will hide something, where your body gives you a signal, you're over-flooded with these signals every day. The thinking part, this is a couple of thousand signals a day. And just to compare this. And then the thinking part gives some signals to the doing part. In other words, it shouldn't be I think, therefore I am. It should be I feel, therefore I am. Or I'm aware what I feel, therefore I am. That is how important the aspect of feeling is. So something I used to say, and I hear this nowadays also often from clients, and I see also how people and kids are raised in this way that, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm not good, but I have no time to deal with it now. I need to work. It's probably the most stupid statement on earth. It's basically saying, I know there's a problem. I know this is the core of the problem. It's the source. I won't deal with the source. I will work a little bit on the symptoms. I need to perform. I need to act. You imagine the quality of your thinking if your source is not in sync. And this is a little bit how it works. And the problem is, if we do not get aware about situations which trigger emotions and emotions and emotions, we carry them over. Okay? You wake up in the morning and you had a short night, you're already in a bad mood. It's very late. You don't have time for breakfast. You run to university. On the way to university, of course, what has to happen? You either miss the bus or the train, or you're in a car, somebody cuts you. You have already 4 or 5 emotions built up, or you are not at your best. You're far away even from being good. You go at a 50% capability ratio into your first activity. You don't have to be a prophet to understand that not a lot will happen what positive for you during that day. You understand what I'm saying? And this is just an example of, somebody cuts you up when you're driving. You have the emotions come, then you try to rationalize it. And you feel like you should influence the situation, although deep inside, well, even horning and yelling doesn't change anything. The guy has already cut you, so that's it, it's over. No, it stays with you. And I could go on with many, many of such experiences and examples. And this influences ourselves. And, in a workplace, people have these experiences all the time. Now you have a boss and you anyhow are a bit afraid of him or her. And he or she talks in a certain way, you feel, oh my God, I must have done something wrong. Will I be fired? You go into the next meeting, you realize that your colleagues are looking at you in some way and you feel like, wow, what do they know about me? Perhaps it's already been spread that I will not be at my job anymore. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. And then we wonder in the evening why we are tired. It's not the doing part which makes us tired. It is the feeling part which we haven't reflected on, which creates an inner battle where at the end, in the evening, say, oh, I can't do it anymore. Now, and that's actually this whole aspect, or as far as we are there any questions, comments, where we are? If not, I'll move on.
I have a question about.
Sure.
You said when it comes to coaching, being a coach, you are kind of a mirror to the person that you're coaching. But what about self-coaching versus self-leadership? Is it the same thing? Or do I have to kind of mirror my own feelings and thoughts?
That's a great question, Emma. You can do self-coaching. The thing is that because we are humans, a human connection and us speaking things out changes something in us. Sometimes you might like your parents insisting, talk to me, tell me something. No, tell me, I see you're not good. There is an aspect of curiosity, Emma, but there is an aspect knowing that if you talk about something, that is the process when you start to understand, be aware, and regulate your emotion. If you do this with yourself, it has an effect, but the fact that there is somebody, even online, and showing some interest and asking me something and asking me questions, and it's all about me, I don't have to bother about anything, changes a bit what happens with you. That's why still a real coach, of course, that's a big advantage to self-coaching. But if not, better than nothing, for sure.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
And let's look into the aspect of emotional intelligence. You can still see my screen, yeah?
And no, actually, I think I kind of messed up and removed your screen sharing. I'm sorry.
I can see it. I don't know if
I can see it.
Then it's good.
Okay.
Okay, everybody
fine,
can see
yeah.
it. Good. So look, that's one of the things. There's a little bit, you know, somewhere stronger, somewhere lesser strong, how we treat feelings and how at least I have grown up with feelings. It's, you know, something, you might have been lucky and you might have had the experience. Chances are you might not have had this experience. You coming home, having a bad mark in school, and the only question your parents or friends ask, but hey, Hannes, that's not relevant. How do you feel? What's going on with you? Yeah, I got a 4, I feel so, or a 2, or whatever the system is. I feel so bad, I feel so inadequate. Hang on, forget about this. I just want to know, how do you feel? And let's talk about how you feel and why you feel this way. Chances are this is the discussion you neither had when you were small, nor you might have them when you're in university, nor when you're at the workplace. Which leads to the fact that we try to move aside and create these bonds where we keep our feelings. When they come up, lock them up. And it's this, you know, mindset of, we can talk later about it. Well, emotional intelligence, you might have heard, it's actually a very old concept. In the old Indian Vedantas, it's written, in the old Greek philosophers have worked a lot on this, and depending on time, we might come to that later. But the new concept was based on a book written by Daniel Goleman in 1997 called Emotional Quotient. And he says if there is an IQ, an intelligence quotient, there's also an emotional quotient. And they are separate from each other. And the big difference between them is an EQ, you can any time in your life, whether you're 5 years old or 95, change, improve. It's like a muscle. You practice, it grows. With the IQ, as you might have heard, it more or less stays the same during the whole lifetime. This does not go for the EQ. So it's actually about performance. If you want to perform, given what I told you before, and this is, you know, one of the other things we get wrong. People talk about things like emotional intelligence, soft skills, you know, as if they are optional. They are not. They're neither soft, nor they are optional. If you not succeed in any situation of life, it's only because of that aspect. I would dare to say that. And so when we look at this, sorry for the bad quality, but I will tell you, it's basically two aspects. How do I relate to myself? How do I relate to others? And when I relate to myself, how aware am I about myself? And this is these aspects of emotional self-awareness, knowing myself, self-assessment, self-confidence. How well am I able to manage based on the awareness myself? So control, transparency, adaptability, initiative, and related to others. How much am I aware about others? The empathy often called. And how am I able to relate to others, to manage relationships with other people? And here perhaps you might also say, see, Franol, how this is connected. You know, the self-awareness relates to what I can see with others. And what I see with others, if I can relate it back to what is about me, I make it work. Now, this is the general simple model. Tell me, which side, the self or the social one, you think usually is higher if you would make an assessment? And there is an assessment, there's a small test one can make. What do you think? What is your guess?
Do you mean in general or in any
in
specific?
General.
In general, I think people are more aware of their surroundings than they are themselves, usually.
Absolutely, Franol. And it's about 80-20. Whenever I do the test with people, 80 to 85% are clearly higher aware, clearly more empathetic to others, and more and better managing the relations with others than their own relation with themselves. Why this topic is so important. And it's very normal, Franol. When you, as a kid, yelled at someone or hit some other boy, you were told, don't do this. This is not good. Stop yelling. You were not put on an explorative path. Nobody sat with you and said, Frano, I assume, how interesting you're currently yelling. What is actually feeling? What is coming up with you? What is it that you're actually yelling against? Let me know this. I'm curious. I want to know more about you, Frano. And you hit this boy. Look, this is a border. Because would you like it if somebody would hit you? But tell me, what made you hit this other person? Unfortunately, you don't have these conversations. It's more like, and that starts creating this barn, the cartoon before. So you basically subconsciously think, oh, okay, that's a bad area. Let me not go into it. All of this actually starts with and you see it's the same topics, it's the self-awareness, the self-management, that just in a different way, and the awareness of others, empathy and relationship management, the same as before, but now linked to what is actually my picture of myself. Everything starts with my self-regard and what I consider truths about life. And that reflects on how I'm aware about myself, and my self-awareness. It's like the eyes I see. This is what I see with others. So if it's simple words, if I grew up with the idea, and let's say in our family, the slogan was, you have to work hard and then you achieve something, then this is what I see with others. And this is what I assess with others. And this is where I don't notice if somebody's not performing well and not working hard enough, but might have other issues. I'm just simplifying really a lot. So it's very, very much related. So, and how we regard others. I want to ask you now, let's look at these 6 aspects: the self-regard, the self-awareness, self-management, relationship management, awareness of others, and the regard of others. And self-regard means what is actually the story I tell myself? What do I value about myself? Which of those 6 would you say is where you are strongest relatively among the 6, and where you are the weakest relative among the 6? If you would have to self-assess yourself. Who wants to share briefly?
I can start if that's all right.
Sure.
I believe I might be strongest at awareness of others, because you can see what's happening or try to understand what's happening to other people, and you're aware of those. I believe that's my strongest of the 6th, while the weakest might be self-management, due to goals, and it can be difficult to, for me at least, I set goals sometimes that it's hard to reach, and how do I navigate and adjust to those, that I find the most difficult amongst the 6 here. So
Great. Appreciate your openness. Who would also like to go? Just 1 or 2. Look, it's your opportunity. If you don't want, I'm not pressing you. It's a chance to reflect for yourself. So anybody wants, I really appreciate this, that you went and opened up for Arnold. So anybody, A question, which of those...
I was away for a few minutes, so I didn't get the question.
Yeah. So which of those 6 areas is your strongest and which of those is your weakest comparatively among the 6?
I can go.
Yes.
You don't mind? Okay. For me, relationship management, that's with other people, I feel is my strongest because I can be able to manage my relationship with other people, handle some conflicts, and try to get along with other people. And I can be weakest in, should I say, self-regard, because sometimes I'll feel, oh, I don't know how others will feel. I try to just I do feel that maybe I don't belong because I'm in a strange place and all those kind of things. And I may feel that I don't, maybe based on age, the difference in age, and then the difference in language and difference in culture and all those things, sometimes I can be affected.
Great. Appreciate this. Anybody else? One more who wants to go?
I can try.
Sure, please.
Yeah. So I hope you can hear me this time.
Yes, Stephanie, it's great now.
Okay. I think my strongest would be self-awareness. I am most conscious of my strengths and weakness. But my weakest point would probably be relationship management. I might be conscious of myself, but I might not be very good at resolving issues between other people. So in places with conflict, I'm likely to distance myself because I am aware of some of my weaknesses is fear of conflict, fear of speaking out.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for raising this. So there is, of course, there is some, let me see. So there is some things one can do, and this is just really simple because we don't have so much time like this. To go through this whole process with real activities is easily like 1 full day or even 1.5 days. So I'm just going through. So in the self-awareness part, knowing your story and how it affects you is quite important. And knowing your story meaning what are the belief sets which you grew up with, which your parents instilled in you, which if you would reflect on them might not be your belief sets, but they were instilled in you, and which elevate you but also limit you in interaction with opportunities in life and others. Really being aware about it. Being able to give an elevator pitch about yourself with all your abilities and fears. Making peace with the past, looking back and saying, okay, what are moments in my life which I recall where I felt truly rejected? And going through them and understanding what actually happened there and how is this still affecting me? I'm just trying to make it like concrete and simple. What are your beliefs and your emotions and your behavior patterns? How do you usually react when something comes up? There's a problem. What is it that you try to do? You try to cover it. You try to address it straightforward. You try to be someone, appear in a certain way. Know your relationship patterns. What's the kind of people you attract? And without actually thinking, what is it that you actually look in a partner? which limits perhaps you in finding really someone on eye level. Because there's something you are trying to cover on your side where you hope somebody else will help you. This is subconscious. And no, like some of the triggers, we will talk about those aspects, those abbreviations. So that's on the self-awareness side. Self-regulation management, breathing, relaxation, positive self-affirming beliefs, self-motivation skills, maintain good physical, spiritual, mental, emotional health. This is more important than you think. And when it's about the self-affirming beliefs, you know, there is sometimes this belief, okay, come on, like this telling yourself how great you are and I can do it. Come on, that's all voodoo stuff. It's quite interesting to understand that this is not voodoo stuff. This is neuroscience. We know from neuroscience that, as an example, when you are super thirsty and you drink water, you feel this great feeling of, I got liquid within what, half a minute after you drink, right? Physiologically, it takes over 20 minutes for the liquid to hit the parts of your body which gave you the signal, I'm dying, I need water. The effect is momentarily. Why? Because this is the expectation management, the power of the brain to tell your whole body, relax, man, all is good, it's on the way. This is how you function. You can use your brain to create the things you want to create, because this is what the brain is able to. And if not, then your story will be created, because the brain will anyhow tell something. If you forgo this opportunity, it will become negative self-talk, or the last emotion will take over. On the relationship management side, you know, reflective listening, coaching is very powerful. Support, affirmation, I'll just go quickly to that. Non-verbal communication, basic emotional needs, what do you need, what others need, and making empathy a part of your life. As stupid as it sounds, a simple gratitude exercise every day changes the way how your brain functions. It changes even your brain activity and how you relate to others. So that's briefly and quickly about this emotional intelligence. Now, there's one concept I want to share with you, which is about, it's like, the name is really complicated, but the logic is very simple. We as human beings, and this is like one of the patterns we have, and it's good to be aware about it. Whenever we are in a social setting, we are in a certain state of ego. We can't avoid it. It just so happens. And this dictates our actions and our reactions. So what is meant by that? There are three types of ego, three stages of ego. The P stands for parent, the A for adult, the C for child. In a parent mindset, I can be either what? What does a parent do? You either criticize or you care, isn't it? If you look at your parents, it's either the one. Sit straight, that's not good. Don't make these noises while eating. You shouldn't hit someone. That's very bad. Why did you got this mark? What's going on with you? Why don't you talk to me? You didn't call, and so on and so on. Or, oh my darling, what happened to you? What can I do for you? Can I take this for you? Can I cook something for you? Can I do? It's one of those stages. I'm taking the example of like parent and children, but it's not related to being a parent. It's just a mindset, either critical or caring. On the other side, you have the child mindset. You can be obedient. Yes, Dad, of course I'll do it. Or no, I'm not going to bed. And let's leave out for a moment the free child. So you have either a parental or a child mindset, or an adult mindset, which is basically being aware about your needs, about your emotions, and being able to talk about this. So that is the mindset ones. Now, what is really important, first, we are in one of those three mindsets, come what may, always. Second, our mindset or other people's mindset triggers a mindset on the other side. Me going to someone at work, let's take a practical example, and saying, look, John, this presentation was really bad. I don't like it, and it's the third time I've seen this. I've told you before, you shouldn't do like that. And please correct it at once, and I don't want to see this again. I'm in which ego state? What would you guess? I come in, I talk to the person, I give judgments. I didn't like that. I don't want this to happen. It happened all the time, and do it now at once and never do it again like that. What kind of mindset is this? What do you think?
Well, it seems your coworker is being very critical of you, so they're acting as the parent in this case.
Critical parent. I'm approaching my employee like John as a critical parent. This is the language I'm using. Now, absolutely. Thanks, great Franol. And what does this do to John, my employee? What is triggered with him? Which mindset?
It can make him to be a beaten child.
I push him, absolutely.
And
Janet.
it can also make him a rebellious child.
It pushes him into a child role, whether obedient or rebellious. What would I want, Janet, if I talk like that? I want him or her to be how John, what would I love him to say? And to be what kind of child?
You want him to be an obedient child.
Absolutely. Come on, just admit it and let's move on. I don't have time. I mean, what's this? I'm your boss, so why are you eating my brain? Come on, move on. So if I go like this to John, and let's also assume I'm standing in front of his desk, he's sitting, also physically a little bit of threat. If John does not reflect, he is subconsciously pushed into this ego state of a child. I deliberately gave this example because often people are not conscious about what they say and how they say. Now, the problem with this is that how much empowerment, how much ownership does John feel in this moment? How much do I empower John or give him ownership?
Hardly nothing at all.
Absolutely, Thea. I'm just saying, this is what you do it now, and otherwise, I mean, be my machine, and I'm not interested in anything else. Why this is important, just as a small thing, the same guy who talks like this, me talking like this to John, an hour later would ask John, look, I really miss that you come up with your own initiatives and that you are proactive and that you take topics in your hand. And I really don't understand. I give you so much of freedom. You understand? You're always in one of the states. It triggers an automatic counter reaction if you don't manage it proactively. Now, what happens with that? The third understanding is, by acting like that, I create a dependent interaction. That was my topic on empowerment and ownership. John, the next time, will rather ask me, look, Hannes, is this okay what I did? Will not just send it to me and say, and by the way, I would so much appreciate your comments, but I think this is good, and this and this. He will always ask me. Why? Because he's afraid. So I have started the story of me becoming overworked, because now I have taken some power from John away. And if I do this more than once, that is the story. So I create a dependent interaction and not an adult interaction. Now, what is a communication among adults? And by the way, the goal in any relationship, especially at workplaces, is only adult to adult communication. And many of the modern and really strong companies, they even use this. The main message in Netflix is we want to be respectful adults with each other. And they refer to basically the ideas behind is this model. They don't say it, but I know it. You're transparent, you're rational, you're attentive, you're not threatening. You use all the resources you have, and you talk on eye-to-eye level. The fact that I'm the boss does not mean that John is not also 100%. We are equal when we talk. I just happen to be in a different hierarchy. I say, hey, John, I got to talk to you. Look at this presentation. Here, these aspects, I didn't really understand them. And here, I think this is a mistake. Could you lead me through and explain me to this? What did you mean by this? Perhaps there's something I'm missing. John might now admit, oh, that's a mistake. You say, fine, that's okay, we discovered it. How can I be helpful to you to avoid such mistakes in future? We are on eye level. I didn't recruit John to basically have a slave. I need his capacity, his creativity, remember what I said in the beginning, we are more and more in a time where we need to unleash everything a human being has, because just by being a robot, you don't need anyone anymore. There are robots to do this, or apps or something else. We have people because they do a difference. Let us allow them to make a difference. Let us check how we can be of value to others, and this guy will thrive. And if I want, I can say, look, this presentation and the quality of it disappointed me. And it would help if we could work differently with each other. I'm giving an I message. I was disappointed. I'm not judging you. And if I'm judging only an outcome, but you are okay, John. You're okay, I'm okay. We talk about something else. Adult to adult relationships are absolutely important. And if you have teams, I mean, that's a side note, if you work and have teams, and don't recruit people and then not assume that they are capable and willing to achieve. The underlying idea is, John is a lazy bugger. I got to tell him. See, I always believed, I always understood. People don't want to work. I got to do it. It's all about me, and then people shine. So I have to be now. No, it's not about me. People are willing and capable, and they are okay. And put trust in the team. And if there is consistent non-performance, also address this. It doesn't mean we are being nice. It's the other way. Because we have adult to adult relationships, we can be brutally honest to each other. Because we assume that the person is okay, I'm okay. That is now, when we are in either the parent or the child mode, we are in a certain non-reflected need. A critical parent is in a state of need. He wants some recognition. He wants to be noticed. He doesn't have, in this example, because I took my example, he doesn't have enough energy and self-care to feel okay and then have a civilized conversation with John. And John, reacting as a child, also has the need, I want to be I want to be recognized. I want to be loved. So, okay, if I say yes, 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 I might look good with him again. So it's important in this situation, in such situations, that you're aware about what are your triggers. I give you a private example. One morning, I learned the metro and everything, buses is on strike. So I ordered a taxi to bring one of my sons, the other one was sick, to the school. You can imagine, to get a taxi when everything is on strike, everything else, not the easiest. So I get a taxi, and it's getting late. So I run down 100 meters towards the taxi. A taxi comes, I'm with my son. I open the door. I jump in. I say, please, let's go quickly. We're getting late. The taxi driver says, hang on. This is not the space where the taxi was ordered. This is away from this space. I say, yeah, don't worry, it's me. I need to go. Come on, let's drive. He says, stop. Don't talk to me like that. I say, look, we have to go to school. Let's just go. I don't have time. This goes back and forth. The end result is he tells me, I won't drive you. Please leave the car. So I leave the car, I go out, and now at least I have an example to share with you in this class. Who wants to describe to me what happened with this model? What was my ego state when I came in?
Well, I believe in this case, since you're in a rush, you could say, you place yourself in a parent ego state.
In a very critical parent state, and I was not okay with myself because I felt inadequate, that my kid might come late. Again, I was not aware about this. I'm saying this now. I want the world now to function and understand that I need to be late. Okay, the taxi driver is doing what?
I think the taxi driver is trying to put both of you in the adult state where you can communicate and
because absolutely great. And because I'm not doing this, he fights for the critical parent role. Now it becomes like, let's see who is more parent. So he's not just saying, I don't like it. He at the end says, you know what? You better leave the car. And I'm not reacting to this signal. So I go out. Of course, my son asked me, Dad, what was that? Are you crazy? But an example of a situation. And there are hundreds and thousands of that. Can you relate to the model? Do you have examples which come to your mind when you hear of this model, where you were either in a child position, in a parent position, perhaps also in an adult position? Can you relate to that?
Yes, I usually can, especially critical parent and caring.
So you used to be often a parent, Sarah?
Kind of, yes. And like especially at work with my teammates, I tend to even take the caring parent role, not even critical. But no,
Okay.
I can also be critical, but without scolding, but assessing and praising and explaining.
Okay, great. What about the others? Can you also relate to that? And you have ideas in mind?
Free child was especially when I was in high school and until now, where I decided to be independent and take responsibility for my life. And that's why I was able to like consider the environment and like, like not be a free spirit that doesn't care about the world, but to take responsibility and understand that with great freedom comes great responsibility. So free child has been since high school. a bit younger, like in middle school, rebellious child, sure, to prove yourself, you know, kids. Obedient child, I feel like I sometimes fall into this because of perhaps the way I was raised or something. Like I do see myself as an obedient child sometimes until I feel confident enough, and that's when I can be my assertive self.
And look, that's great, Sarah. Whatever our ego status can change momentarily. It really depends a bit on the situation, but there are triggers which trigger us more and easier than others.
Yes, I totally agree. Like obedient child, I get triggered when I'm starting something new because I feel lost and I feel like a child in all honesty, and it takes me some time to be myself again. So the trigger is something new. That's my trigger.
Okay, and if we look at that, and I would, probably conclude with that, and then we will have time for some questions, or actually I will jump further to something. So when you're in a child or parent stage, you're, as I said, in a certain need. And if we go a bit deeper into this model, then we find that there are 5 drivers, you know, kind of learned behaviors from childhood, what is right and what is wrong, which, as long as we are okay, they are superpowers, they are strengths which we have. The moment for any reason we get into a non-okayness, they are in our way, they become our biggest barriers. Under stress, they become barriers. So let's look at them. There are 5 of these drivers, as we call them. There is a driver called be perfect. So the message is, don't make mistakes. Like, you do things well. Oh, here, 1 page you've written, there are 2 mistakes, what happened? And that's like something which was put into your head, and it's something, and there's a test one can make, and you can even figure out which is your strongest drivers. There is the please me one, people who like to avoid any conflict. As long as things are fine and people are good with each other, everything is okay. There is the be strong driver, whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it, I'm still gonna do it, never give up. No, I just have to overcome it. There's the try hard one. Well, I will try, and it's more important that I try all the time, that the result doesn't come. Okay, as long as I tried, it's all okay. And there's the hurry up now. It should have happened yesterday. Do it right now. You know, you might have met such people where whatever they send you and whatever they do, it just has to be always immediately. Again, this is by itself a whole day, but I wanted to bring this topic up on the aspect of drivers. So once analyzing this, and perhaps you have a certain hypothesis about what could be your driver, working with that is truly powerful. Really knowing, okay, this is my trigger, so let me work on that. Let me know how I deal with that. And there's like, again, if we would do a workshop, you would all work and like work on your triggers and look at ways how to come out of that. But knowing this is truly powerful. Is this in general, this concept of TA and the drivers clear? Okay, I hope silence is agreement. And let's perhaps, I will jump over a couple of things, but want to conclude with something. Basically with the question, okay, we learned how important emotions are, how it influences everything. We learned about emotional intelligence, the 4 dimensions, or the 6 if we take self-regard, regard to others. We understand there's ego states and we might be in a disbalance. And we can work on these drivers. And again, there is like very, I can at least show you this, that you see that it can be and should be very, very practical. So if, for example, I take the first kind of driver are, let's take, and one can really, it's like, it's very practical. So we would go through, okay, let's take the be perfect driver. What are language and appearance clues? So it's for you, and again, it comes back to the question, Franol, of you and how with others. So that gives you an idea about yourself, but also about others. If people talk like this, you can make an understanding, okay, this is this type of person. Then what are characteristics? What are people who believe that, who have this driver? What causes stress for them? And what is a stress behavior for this person? And then how can you reduce stress in yourself if you are a be perfect? And what if your boss is a be perfect? How can you deal better with him? Okay, so, and this now for be strong, this goes actually for all the aspects. So just to share that this is, this should become, otherwise it's useless in my opinion. This should become, and this is possible to become, very, very practical knowledge, which has a direct, hopefully a direct value. But let me conclude with one or two practical things. What we have to know, and I spoke before about self-awareness, self-management, about the power of breathing. You know, the body and the brain, they communicate through nervous system. And there is, well, let's say for easiness sake, 2 major nervous systems, the sympathetic one and the parasympathetic one. The sympathetic one is basically controlling the non-consciously directed bodily functions. Breathing, you don't control. Heartbeat, you don't control. And by the way, also digestive processes, stomach. This nervous system is the one where stress happens. So that's why when you feel stress, often your stomach is going crazy or you have pain there. There is the parasympathetic nervous system where voluntary movements are happening. And this is the nervous system which is responsible for well-being. So why breathing or yoga or mindfulness is so powerful is because you move it from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic one. You make a non-conscious activity a conscious activity. You understand? Why it somehow sounds so crazy, but it is exactly true that by controlling breathing, a simple exercise, when you need to calm down, breathe in for 4 seconds through the nose, breathe out for 8 seconds through the mouth. Repeat this 3 times. You will understand how you calm down. If one would measure your brain, you would see how your brain function jumps up. Just by this simple exercise. It costs you half a minute. 4 seconds breathing in through the nose, 8 seconds out. Why? Because the breathing out has to be longer, and by that you move it more and more into the parasympathetic system. You calm down your system. So I wanted to actually look at some of the aspects. So what can be actually done? And give you some practical things. So you remember the triangle upside down? One of the things you can do, once a day, every 2 hours, whatever it works for you. Every now and then just pause and literally stop and say, okay, what emotion, what am I currently feeling? And do I feel any sensations in my body? And why am I feeling this? What is my need behind this emotion? Or what is the last moment I realized where this emotion can come up? And how can I now do one small thing to either take control of this emotion, or where is the positive thing in this emotion? How can I turn it into a positive? What is my message to my brain to change from now on my move? And if the emotion which is triggered is because something happened with my boyfriend or girlfriend, or I have a certain fear, whatever needs to be done, and if it's a short WhatsApp message or even just a note where I say, okay, I will deal with this, but writing it down, making an action, basically means you're starting to acknowledge that emotions are driving everything else. It's like emptying the cup. If you do this a couple of times during the day, you start taking charge and becoming more aware. There is another self-regard activity which you can do in the morning, and it's these, self-affirmative statements, positive things about yourself, and imagining different things. Memory when you are relaxed and happy, when you were paid a compliment, and with all of this in mind, spend 1 minute thinking, how will you use these feelings to be successful today? And if you can integrate it with a situation you anyhow do every morning, brushing teeth or so, that's a very powerful thing of setting an intention. Again, the body does what the brain has told, and the brain listens to what you tell the brain. It's a superpower everybody has, we just don't use it. Okay, and the last one I told you already is the breathing exercise. By the way, in these digital times when sometimes we have back-to-back meetings and things are challenging and this and that, at least take time between meetings for that. If nothing else, at least do this to ground yourself. That's like the kind of ground zero. And with this, I would invite you, are there any questions or comments you have?
I have a question related to the one that I asked earlier.
Yes?
I just want you to, because I didn't get the difference between self-leadership and self-coaching. Is there a difference?
Look, self-leadership is about a state you want to reach. Self-coaching is a tool which can help you to reach the state. And I told you it's not a bad stage, it's not a bad tool, but they're more powerful tools. Self-leadership is basically the ability you can be every day your best self. And coaching, mentoring, breathing are all ways which can contribute to that.
Okay, but do you have a technique that you recommend more specifically to, for example, reach a more positive mindset?
Look, I gave you some of the activities there. Doing them, they're very powerful. Frankly, look, it's not about, there is this famous, there is a certain knowledge, a certain topic which we call the knowing doing gap. That's the reason why professors of happiness and psychology are not the happiest people on earth, by far not. Okay? Because they know, but doing is very different. So with all these topics on self-leadership, don't get stuck. Don't ever get stuck into knowing too much, know lesser, do one small thing. The whole problem of self-leadership is we approach it again too intellectually. If you take one or two of those activities which I mentioned there and do them, that's 10 times more worth than reading 20 books on that. That's why, and why do I mention this? Find something, Emma, which works for you, which you can easiest integrate. Don't make this another thing where you know you're punishing yourself. I should be now also doing this. There's anyhow too many things you tell yourself you should be doing. Don't add something. Make it as seamless and easy for you. If breathing is easy for you, do this. If yoga is easy for you, do this. If meditation is easy for you, do this. If this introspection is easy for you, do this. If talking with somebody else regularly and it helps you, it's easy for you to do that. Whatever it is, just give it a place and make it as easily integrated as possible.
Thank you.
Okay. So, look, if there's no other questions, I hope you got some value out, and I really enjoyed having you around here. And as I told you, you're very welcome to connect in any way or the other. I will send you what I presented. I will send to AIESEC, and then if you're interested, please send it to the participants. And I wish you all the best and lots of success on your self-leadership journey, everyone.